about what a catechism is and why it's important that we're talking about theology by catechism.
Right. Well, I think if you go to a lot of churches' websites, you're going to find a statement of faith. And really, catechism is, amongst other things, a statement of faith.
Yeah.
It's done in a particular format, which we'll get into in a moment. But it's how the church explaining what it believes and why it believes it.
Yes. What would be essential here is it's always been the posture of the church that the two major instruments by which we determine the catechism, the teachings of the church, are, number one, that they are rooted, grounded, and deduced by the Holy Scriptures. Right. We don't get to have theological beliefs that the Scriptures would disagree with. There's some flex room to say that there are theological beliefs that we can have that are not clearly laid out in the Scriptures. But, we would certainly agree that the Scriptures have to, in some way, affirm these teachings. And we'll get into this as we poke through. What is the human condition?
Though created good and made for fellowship with our Creator, humanity has been cut off from God by self-centered rebellion against Him, leading to lawless living, guilt, shame, death, and the fear of judgment. This is the state of sin.
Okay. Whew, this can be just the whole podcast right here. Yeah. So this seems to me to be a controversial subject, the way that we've begun this. You and I are in a state of sin that we heard that claim at the beginning, we're created good. Yes. How do we reflect on this, considering the world around us?
The consequence of, and it's called the fall, the story in Genesis 3, it is just visible all round. Yeah. I think in large part it is a matter of self-centeredness. It is humans are intensely driven to take care of themselves and not always ask questions about the consequences of that.
Yeah, and the picture I see, I've been reflecting on the Torah for the past 6 months, really. When I reread the book of Genesis, specifically in the distinctions between chapters 2 and 3, is just this profound picture of simplicity and beauty in this seeming just thoughtless trust that existed in the pre-curse phase, versus after the curse. It seems as though not only is humanity in a place of suspicion and accusation and brokenness, but likewise the world has responded with brokenness itself.
Right. Yeah, I agree. There's a, if you like, chapter 3 of Genesis is this incredible shift. Yeah. Between chapter 2 and chapter 4. Chapter 3 explains that shift, but when you get to chapter 4 and we've got the first murder and we've got, it's like, what happened? Right. It's really a stunning change in the nature of humanity and humanity's relationship with God.
Yeah. Reflectively, I sort of go a step further with this and ask myself, I'm not sure if there was a literal serpent or a literal Eden. And, I think that those stories are best read as a sort of primeval history, something like that. Or a fable.
I like the word myth, because myth doesn't have to be false.
Amen.
We tend to take, we talk about mythological creatures, for example, but myths are stories that explain, that are usually rooted in truth. Yeah. Every detail may not be absolutely literally true, but there is it's not total fiction. It's,
So given whatever stature is taking place in Genesis chapter 3, the core things that I think we pull out of it is, number one, there is a God. Number two, there is an enemy, a serpent later parts of the scriptures interpret the serpent to be the devil, the Satan. I think, given the framework of our scriptural interpretation, that's perfectly acceptable. But then we're sort of standing in the middle, and we've chosen, to some degree, to reject God and listen to the serpent, and it's led to this catastrophe.